5 of the best TRT protocols, according to my clients and according to published documents on their protocols and their accurate reporting of symptoms. I'm going to break it down for you because a perfect TRT protocol seems to be like a topic of massive confusion out there on the web. I think the biggest thing that it's like people think going on TRT like instantly solves your testosterone issues, and sure, you're going to skyrocket your testosterone. There's no question about that. But, dialing in a protocol is much more nuanced if you want to feel good, if you want to have libido and erections to be like prime as they can be. And if generally you want your well-being to be maxed, your TRT protocol has to be perfect. And I'm going to give you 5 of them that I have seen very effective, including protocols using an aromatase inhibitor and some not using an aromatase inhibitor, just to give folks an idea of protocols that actually work. In the meantime, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of the products that I built. Most popular lately has been Supercharged Dopamine. That's a speed course. Nootropics Master is second on that list. Fix Erectile Dysfunction also just launched. You can get that at livecortex.com. Wanted to also say we're coming up on the tail end of the $25 a bottle special for Cortex. All right, so the code for that is 25 Cortex. You get a powerful epic nootropic stack that's normally around $50 for $25 a bottle. And lastly, I am a coach on TRT, nootropics, biohacking, male performance, and a host of other things. And you can hire me in under a minute at livecortex.com. TRT protocol optimization. It honestly keeps me very busy because I can tell you from the perspective of a consultant on this that there are more men than not that don't have correct TRT protocols. And look, they may have high testosterone and they may feel good and they may, be able to go to the gym 7 days a week and they may generally have more energy than they did when they were lower testosterone. But, dialing in a protocol where libido and erections are perfect, where you feel incredible, where all those other things are present is actually harder than people believe. And hey, newsflash or hint, the most predominant inhibitor of a good TRT protocol is estrogen. Whether it's too high, too low, it's not stable, you can't dial in your AI, it really all comes down to estrogen. It's like once you get the androgens in a place where it's like you're in a therapeutic range or above, it's really about getting estrogen in that tight range and allowing it to stay there. That dials in a TRT protocol. All right, so I'm going to get into 5 that I have seen in clients where we had accurate reporting of their symptoms. We had a document with their protocol on it and their reporting of how they felt in every area that is sort of corresponds with the successful TRT protocol. Okay, protocol number 1. 150 milligrams testosterone per week, split up into everyday injections, no aromatase inhibitor, and controlling for aromatization. All right, this is the first successful protocol that I've seen repeated over time and time again be very successful for guys on TRT. Now, what's important to note about this is there's no aromatase inhibitor in this particular protocol, which means this person has to control for aromatization, which means they've got to cease fire or limit their consumption of alcohol, cease fire or limit their consumption of cannabis, cease fire or limit their consumption of estrogenic foods. And, 50% or so of guys on this protocol will require, or at least will do a lot better with a multivitamin, multimineral supplement, which has some compounds in it, particularly zinc and selenium, which I don't want to call them AIs, but act to effectively prevent estrogen from getting out of control. That's protocol number 1. All right. Protocol number 2 is 100 milligrams testosterone per week, 700 IU or international units of HCG per week, no aromatase inhibitor, controlled for aromatization, and injecting every day. I mean, that's one of the main ways that you control for aromatization, or at least prevent peaks of estradiol from happening, is you're injecting every single day. Now, with this protocol, again, if you're controlling for aromatization, no booze, no cannabis, no estrogenic foods, you're doing everything you can to stay as lean as possible. Generally, estradiol sits within range. That's the 25 to 35 picograms per milliliter mark. Now, I mean, if you're on this protocol and you drink alcohol and you consume cannabis and you're not lean, then certainly you're probably going to need an AI. I mean, the HCG alone upregulates all this aromatase activity in the testicles, and you end up making more estrogen than you would if, you didn't have HCG in the picture. So this is why it's so important to control for aromatization, in terms of lifestyle, any way that you can. Literally the difference between having an AI, if you don't like AIs in your protocol, and not, or having stable estradiol in a good range, in some cases might be controlling for aromatization in your lifestyle. It is more important than people think. Number 3 protocol. We're going to bring an aromatase inhibitor into this one because yes, some people need to take them and that's totally cool. They're completely safe to take so long as you're dosing them intelligently. And some people, some guys are just going to do better using aromatase inhibitors. So the third protocol I've seen be very effective is 180 milligrams testosterone a week, 0.125 milligrams anastrozole every 7 days, and continuing to control for aromatization. Just because you have an aromatase inhibitor in the picture doesn't mean you shouldn't control for aromatization otherwise. It's still a good idea to stay lean, not drink a lot of alcohol, not consume cannabis, do everything you can to avoid, foods that ultimately have estrogens in them, which are going to activate, estrogen receptor alpha and estrogen receptor beta. Because again, at 180 milligrams TRT a week, and this is split up into everyday injections, I should have said that before, with 0.125 milligrams of anastrozole every 7 days, you're kind of still going to aromatize a lot if you're not controlling aromatization from a lifestyle perspective. Again, you're minimizing estradiol peaks at least, so significant side effects, by injecting frequently, and that is every day of the week. Fourth protocol that I've seen very effective is 200 milligrams testosterone a week, split up into everyday injections with 1,000 IU of HCG per week, split up into everyday injections with 0.25 milligrams anastrozole every 7 days, and in addition to that, still controlling for aromatization with your lifestyle. Are you getting the key point here? If you're on testosterone, regardless of whether or not you're taking an AI, you should control for aromatization via being lean and not consuming things that effectively bind to estrogen receptors and activate them, or convert your testosterone to estrogen, as is the case with booze. Fifth protocol, for those of you that inject less frequently, I'm sure some of you are like, well, is there a case where you can inject a little less frequently and still get significant results or a good protocol? The answer is yes. I think those people are somewhat unicorns or anomalies, but there are a contingent of men that can make this happen. And what I've seen the best protocol be in this case is the following. 200 milligrams testosterone a week, that's injected once per week, just a bolus intramuscular dose of 200 milligrams of testosterone cypionate. 1,000 IU HCG injected 4 days later. So you got your testosterone dose on a Monday, and then you inject the HCG in that case on that Friday. And you continue that protocol. And with this protocol, running 0.5 milligrams anastrozole every 7 days. Now look, let's just step back for a second. One of the main reasons I suggest, or I've seen be effective, every 7-day usage of anastrozole is to prevent major fluctuations and especially major reductions in estradiol to the point where you go below 20 picograms per milliliter, you start having achy joints and all the low estrogen symptoms, which you don't want. Considering the half-life of anastrozole, which is 48 to 60 hours, yes, your estradiol at day 3 is going to start bouncing back, but it should stay within range if you're controlling for aromatization, or at the very least not go completely out of range, just in enough time to where you dose the next dose of AI at that 7th day and it goes back down in that perfect spot for you, and then it just kind of works its way up, still within range or still within your range where everything still functions correctly but doesn't get out of control, and you also don't crush the estrogen. Bonus protocol. Now, there are rare occasions where people, no matter what they do, whether it's taking an AI and they're having a really difficult time dialing it in, or they just can't control for aromatization because, maybe they are 50 pounds overweight, or maybe they do drink booze, and they're working on those things, and it's taking some time to kind of eliminate that stuff from their lives. And in the meantime, they just need to go on a TRT protocol that works for what they're doing and maybe what their history was. That protocol is 80 to 100 milligrams TRT a week, split up into everyday injections, no HCG, and no AI. Interestingly, there is enough of a sizable contingent of men on the testosterone and the TRT subreddits that have tried everything else. They've tried high dose with an AI, they've tried high dose with HCG and an AI, they've tried a medium dose with no AI and some HCG. They've tried basically everything. And the only protocol that does it for them is 80 to 100 milligrams test, split up into everyday injections, no other ancillary hormones or compounds in the picture, especially no aromatase inhibitor. And those guys that have so much trouble with aromatization and dialing in an anastrozole or an exemestane dose have a much smoother time letting estrogen balance out in that 25 to 35 picograms per milliliter range. Hopefully still controlling for aromatization, but it's like they can control for aromatization just a little less. It's like at 80 to 100 milligrams a test, so long as you're fairly lean, you don't drink every day, you're not going to aromatize a ton. And in that case, there's no HCG, so the testicles aren't making a bunch of aromatase to give you all that sky-high estrogen. So, guys end up balancing out after a year or two or more of crappy TRT protocol like high doses and HCG and trying to dial in an AI, where they just have to resort to an ultra low dose of testosterone, which, by the way, takes their numbers to between 600 and 800 nanograms per deciliter, which is still pretty therapeutic considering it's not deficient and it's kind of above the mid range. And then those guys that have been working for so long to dial in their protocol actually have a good time and feel great on TRT. As I said in the beginning, I'm a coach on TRT, nootropics, biohacking, host of other things, sexual dysfunction. Look, if you're on TRT and your protocol isn't straight and you can't figure out how to get it straight, hire me. It's one of the main things that I do, and I've been doing it for more than 5 years. I just kind of know based on where people are, what their blood work says, and importantly, what their symptoms are or aren't, where a protocol needs to go. If your TRT protocol is not where it needs to be, hire me, livecortex.com. Let's get on a call or send emails back and forth and get the situation resolved. Because I can tell you this, having a perfect TRT protocol will change your life. It's not just that TRT will change your life, right? It will in a significant amount of ways, I think, either way, especially in terms of strength. But dialing in libido, erections, energy, hematocrit, all these other things, the protocol has to be perfect. You can hire me at livecortex.com in under a minute, and we can be on a call as soon as tomorrow. All right, for those of you regulars, again, Supercharged Dopamine, Nootropics Mastery Speed courses, the hottest selling courses that we've launched in a very long time. And again, the Cortex stack for just another couple days is $25 a bottle. The code for that is 25Cortex. All the links for all of our stuff are in the description of this video. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. I hope you guys are having a great day, having a great week. Looking forward to the holidays where hopefully you're going to control your eating and control for aromatization. And I will talk to you guys on the next one.